Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 323, and today we're playing in the Runeterra Open Singleton edition. And so, in this format, we figured out pretty quick and pretty early that we wanted to be playing Aatrox. I feel like Aatrox is one of the most powerful pillars that you can have in the format. It's so straightforward in how powerful, the equipment are, being able to draw Aatrox off of the equipment, and then Aatrox generating a really powerful late game spell, in addition to the equipment just being exceptionally good in the late game. And so, if you're looking to build a late game deck around something like Ezreal, you can really struggle if you never pick up your Ezreal or if he gets picked off early. But following strategies like this, even if things go a little bit wrong, then we can still have a successful run at it. And then the next thing we look to tie into the Aatrox theme was Demacia, using Vayne and all of the equipment card and all of the challengers tied in with the equipment. A pretty powerful and reasonable set of synergies that we are exceptionally happy to put in our deck. But that third faction is where we really kind of flip-flopped around. We tried Kayn, we tried Shurima, we tried Targon, and what I eventually landed on was really liking Shadow Isles, much to the same reason that we like Aatrox, and that the cards just work even if they don't completely come together exactly how you want. That's how the Hallowed theme works as well. And so just playing units and having them die to support our other units later on in the game, it's fairly straightforward and powerful, and it doesn't really require drawing things at a specific time for it to be strong. This also lets us come out, take advantage of things like Vengeance. Having that kind of catch-all removal spell is extremely good in this format, and it also lets us play Kindred. Kindred is a champion that I think is exceptionally strong in these unit-based mid-rangey kind of mirror matches, and I'm quite happy to have that addition in our deck today. The last things I do kind of want to call out with this deck are the way that I'm trying to really structure the units in here. And so I've really become quite fond of all the fearsome units in this deck. Just the majority of the decks we're going to be facing today are either going to be some kind of Seraphine control deck, which cannot block a fearsome unit, or they're going to be some kind of mirror match to where it's a very real chance it's going to be, say, up against, have our combat be up against, say, like a 2 attack unit with a +0/+2 equipment on it, so it's not strong enough to block a fearsome. And so I've been quite happy with those themes. And then I also really like the 4 health units in this format. With so much Seraphine running around, all of their removal tends to be damaged base. They're using Mystic Shots, High Notes, Aftershocks, and the like, and so they don't have singular removal spells. And so if we can push them into a space to where they can't trade with us one for one, it lets us build up our advantages, let us get the additional strikes with our equipments, and it all in all feels pretty good. And so you're going to see a large collection of 4 health units across our deck. And so, to get the deck pulled up, we've talked about most of the champions here. If you were caught our previous video where we initially brought this deck forth, I was playing Quinn. I have removed Quinn from the champion suite in favor of Callista. This ties into everything we're looking for, to where we get a fearsome unit with 4 health, just exceptionally strong in this format, and then especially if she threatens the flips. And so, otherwise, the champion selection is still the same. We have our Aatrox and our Vayne, along with Gwen and Kindred. To tie in with those really strong mid-rangey themes. We're playing 9 equipment today. We aren't playing the Bandle City equipment, the one that does the no stats but gives you spell mana back on strike. It's just not effective enough, whereas the rest of these are quite strong. I feel like one of the main reasons to play in the Shadow Isles as well is the Darken Halberd. It's a very tough spell, or I should say a very tough equipment to fit into a deck that doesn't have sacrificable units, and we pick up a few sacrificable units along the way with our Shadow Isles Fair, and having that 10 mana Tarash is something that we're going to see us play today, and it's just an absolute backbreaker. I don't feel like we have to play cards like the Harrowing when we have the Darken Halberd in our deck, because it's just such a strong late game play. In terms of the units, everything in here is one of 3 things. It either provides some kind of value. So you're going to see things like Egghead Researcher and Ceaseless Sentry to give a little bit of card draw. It's something that either has Hallowed, so we have our friends like Boisterous Host and Phantom Butler, or it's going to be a high health unit. So things like the Rekindler and the Eternal Dancers. The big one that we didn't play in the previous video was the Blood Cursed Harpy, and all in all, just a pretty powerful collection of bros. We do have a smattering of Challenger units in here, which work fantastically with the Hallowed theme, and it also works fantastically with the the equipments. And then in terms of the spells, a fairly straightforward set. We got this nice removal suite that can kill anything between Vengeance and the Shadow Isles Tellstone. And then we're only playing Quietus. I have been kind of dabbling with Silence and Suppress. I decided I would eventually just remove it here for the Shadow Isles Tellstones, as we found ourselves playing against much more Seraphine. I like having that catch-all removal spell that is good against that deck and good against Aatrox, to where the Silence and Suppress isn't spectacular against Seraphine. Otherwise, pretty straightforward set of removal. The Vile Feast and Hate Spike as the other early game removals, and then a bunch of strikes between Single Combat, Fish Fight, Cataclysm, and Concerted Strike. And so that's the deck, ready to go ahead and jump on in. You know what we're going to have to do before the battles begin, though. We got to go and pay that pay-to-win price. And so let's swing on back to the deck. I was thinking we could go for old Vayne today. She's already got that Arclight skin, but she hasn't been turned premium yet. That time is here. The only Demacia champion in the deck. I feel like it's it's only appropriate. I'm really surprised we haven't turned that one premium yet, as it is, since we tend to play quite a bit of Demacia around here. So we do already get our 2 free wins. Good job for playing in the gauntlets earlier in the season. Let's see if we can't carry this on the rest of the way. All right, exciting stuff. So this looks like Aatrox Vayne with Shurima. Something, again, I tried this out. It's good. Don't get me wrong, it's a very strong strategy, but I've been much happier with our Shadow Isles friends here. Right, and a pretty reasonable early game start. I think we should really be able to control deck him here in the early game with the opulent foyer, and really come out and build up some Halloweds. It should come out and make all of our units extremely relevant in this game. Interesting space with the Bloodletters, and so it's kind of tough. Like, I don't want to play the opulent foyer next turn. I'm sorry, we do want to play it next turn, but I like to play it on the opposing attack token if we can. So let's just spew off as much as we can. I think the downside here to the Redeemed Prodigy is it's a very easy trade for this Forsaken Bakai. And so it's not something I'm really excited to just throw forward. But we'll go ahead and get it in. These Hallowed bonuses are quite exceptional to pick up, and then they even work fantastically with Dark Enthrall. He's going to be quite relevant, as he's got, if he's our only attacker next turn and he has +2 attack, it's a pretty good deal. Oh, wow, that's tough. He's presenting this action that's blockable by a Badger Bear, but with 1 mana up. I think we have to get in front of this. I'm going to be really curious if he attacks after we play the Badger Bear. Does not. Okay. It's like if you're playing Constructed, where you get the full sets of copies of things, if he's going to have the... if he's going to have a... what do you call it? The Shape Stone. It's much easier to pull off, but with only access to 1 copy here, we should find ourselves being a little bit safer. All right, let's get everybody in combat. Really throwing away the Sivir. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's not a bad combat. We're starting to snowball this board. Oh, cool. The Sivir's going down. We pretty much just went across the whole way. Like, if action comes in for a strike next turn, we don't really care. He's not a super powerful attacker at this point. And if he doesn't open, we can look to get the foyer down. Looking good. Looking good. I dig it. So the thing I'm kind of thinking of is on our next turn, we can just throw away the Ghastly Band that gets generated to Zolani and give us a really big attacker. So if we leave the Ceaseless Sentry back this turn, we could look to protect the Keeper of the Box next turn, but like, how much do we even care about this unit? I don't think it's a lot. I'm going to go ahead and just pass. We'll see if he decides to make the attack, and then we can play the Sentry now. Hi, Zolani. Time to get big. Ooh, look at these Callistas and everything. It's exciting prospects out there. But I think we want to go with the big units. His blocks here all still suck, right? We're going to have +3 Hallowed onto the Ceaseless Sentry, and then Dark Enthrall Zolani are pretty big in their own right. Not bad. Getting him pretty reasonably ground down. I was kind of surprised to see that the Harpy didn't go in front of the Ceaseless Sentry, but works out for me. I think that was a pretty good turn. He's 1 mana away from a Naka at this point. Don't think we'll be seeing it come in. It feels like we can pretty reasonably just take the damage off of the Harpy, but that's probably a little greedy. Let's add in Callista if we think we're going to be sacrificing off some units here, and then we can look to things like the Rekindler next turn. I guess the other thing we could look to do here is put the Darkened Ballista onto the Darkened Thrall, pull the Anaka back into our hand, and then look to play Anaka next turn. I think that's okay. We can take 1 hit from this Harpy and not feel too upset about it, but we are going to have to worry about it next turn. If he starts to tumble the Harpy into combat, it scares me a little bit. I mean, do we ever just take this and hook it with the Broadwing? That's pretty close. Like, he's not going to have a way to kind of just go over the top and kill us with this.
Every last monster will be purged.
So it's like, if he opens with Tumble next turn, how bad is it? And then I guess the other question is, do we ever just open attack next turn? Our open is pretty good. We can hook the Harpy out of combat, boost the Zolani with the Hallowed, get it up to 10. I think that's where I want to go with this. We'll leave the Ballista in hand if that's the case. We might want to play the Naganika next turn, just to try and strike down a unit. Many dangers, many dangers. Oh, he's going for the tumble now. That makes sense. Makes sense. Do we still feel the same way about this? The other kind of neat thing we can do is play the Naganika. That'll be our 3rd equipment. And then that'll draw Aatrox. We could look to play Aatrox next turn, gain a little bit of health if we wanted to. I don't think that's quite necessary. Let's just load up the Zolani, and then we'll come in for the open attack. That's not very nice. Not very nice. So what are our chances of getting this Callista flipped next turn? It's like we can pass. It's going to be tough to get a unit in front of the Harpy, though. And the Bloodletters brings the Aatrox into his hand. So we know exactly what he has at this point. He's going to pick up a Tumble, and then he's got that stuff in hand. I don't think we have to worry about the Harpy attack. Like, the Tumble into Harpy, he's just going to... we're just going to throw the Ghastly Band in front of it, right? I'm leaning towards just getting the Anaka on board. Then if he tumbles, we get the block. Callista's going to flip. It's a That's a fairly nice place to be. So we know he's got Aatrox in the tumble. That's all that he should realistically be presenting at us this turn. So assuming that we're not going to get the kill here, right? How would we want this attack to look? It's kind of tough. I don't think we can bring everyone because it's just too easy for him to get out of this. I think that like the Dark Enthrall's coming in and then the Anaka's coming in. We need to leave Callista at home because she doesn't win enough combats. And then that should give us a couple units to face down the Harpy. Then he does have the good Aatrox block onto Anaka, but it's not enough to get a kill. Maybe we just do it. Maybe we still bring in the Dark Enthrall since it can't block. Okay, I like it. Harazi coming in. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Say your prayers.
And then our Callista should be flipping here at the end of this turn anyways. He's out of mana, so he's just going to lose a bunch of stuff. That's pretty awesome. And then Callista will flip for the next round. I think we're okay here. It was a lot of damage that we took. I mean, I guess he's going to start threatening the World Ender. Is that what his angle is here? I think we can stand up to the World Ender. Like we can block a 10-10 with an Anaka. I guess it comes down to if he starts to tumble that Aatrox. We can also get a 13 health unit out of the Naganika. So we'll see. What's he doing? Attacking with the bird? This feels like a waste of a tumble. So do we want to kill this thing? I mean, I kind of like keeping Harazi back. This is something to where it's able to get in front of Aatrox and will only take 2 damage. And so I think we want to keep Harazi at home, and then we're going to look to play the Naganika next turn. Let's just throw down a Naka here. We're going to get the kill. He's already wasted his survivability thing. So that gives us a bit of an edge there. Now, it seems like his angle probably involves using the Fleet Feather Tracker to hook Harazi out of combat so he can kill us with Aatrox, but again, I think we get around that. He's only got 3 mana left at this point. So he gets to World Ender. Okay. And the Naganika.
Peace through servitude.
Here's a hook onto Harazi. Whichever way goes about it. We don't get killed here is the big thing.
Accept oblivion.
All right.
A little further. Bingo.
So we should be able to get fully wide here, right? He can throw down 2 Darkens next turn, which is... Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. And Aatrox is boomed. So it's tough. I mean, we got a big collection of dudes that we can look to assemble now. I like getting the Harpy down this turn. That should be a guaranteed 2 kill on stuff. I kind of like the Blinding Assault as well. Now that we have the 4 Hallowed bonuses, it should be able to kill a lot of stuff. So that's 8 mana, and then we can still look to probably play Laurent Protege. I think I'm on board with all of this. So let's add in the bird first. Don't think we have... I mean, we lose to Cataclysm, right? That's the only card that we have to particularly worry about here. And I'm refusing to do that. So it just... I think that's the only one, though, that could give him a strike in this space. If he Cataclysms the Zolani into a smaller unit. Alright, Striatu comes in. So our bird, 6 attack. Let's just try and make sure we get the kill here. Let's go after Zolani. So if he's going to play a combat trick, we don't want our unit to just die. Oh shit, we missed out on the attack with our Harpy. Oops. Oops, they say. That's a bit of a bummer. a lot of this game plan was hinged on the back of this blood-cursed Harpy. So do we just have to switch to Aatrox at this point? We can still play the Harpy and do stuff this turn, but I feel like with 9 mana, I would rather like send the Protege into Striatu and then get the Aatrox attacks in as well. What does Callista bring back? What you got for us here? Ooh, a Harazi? That's pretty big time. It's going to put the Harazi at the end, though, right? It doesn't summon the unit right next to Callista. It's going to look a little something like this. Do we want to just go for the lethal? If we put... Gonna run out of time. We do this. He blocks our 2 bigs. This is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that should do it. That should do it. Did it really mess that up? 6 and 7. Oh, the Callista block is what gets us. Oh shit! I forgot that the thing onto Callista was going to be relevant like that. Okay. It's tough. There's so much going on in these games. It's easy to get kind of lost in the shuffle. But definitely feel a little bit better with this concerted strike coming down onto board. World Ender lets our Aatrox come in and block this Ruin Runner now. Hopefully we're we're okay after this mess. I don't think we've punted this one just yet. I don't think we've punted. I did that math right, though. I counted up all the damage we could potentially do, and it was enough. It was enough to get that KO strike. All right, well, let's get a little bit more of a buffer here. I'm going to go ahead and strike down the Striatu so we can't draw any cards. It's going to give us a couple more health, so it should give us a bit of a health buffer in case he has something weird here. The only thing here would have been if he had, say, a Ruthless Predator. That could have been a bit problematic. I guess I could see an argument for killing off the Protege with the Darkened Bloodletters, but this looks pretty good. All right, I think we might have done it. We might have taken this one down. Is it even worth opening? Like we get so much stuff on board if we don't open. All right. Whew. These games are tough. I feel like when I'm playing on the ladder, you have the chance to get much more acclimated with the format, and only being able to play 1 or 2 of these events a day, in addition to there just being one of every card that you have to kind of consider, gets me a little bit bamboozled in the games. But try our best. Continue on. We're not the only one with that problem, so let's see if we can't continue some victories. Oof, that was close. Our health total got very low. You got to get a little sweaty when that happens, but let's see if we'll make it. All right, up against Seraphine. The Seraphine, Targon, and Ionia. So it does have some reasonable 1 health targets in here. We'll hang on to the Vile Feast, and then I think Elise Badger Bear looking pretty strong. We just need some equipments to help this pop off. But the units we've drawn this game really does kind of showcase how I like to attack the Seraphine deck. You know, she can't do anything about Elise. No blocks coming in on that. Not going to be able to block Callista. The Harpy can soak up an absolute ton of damage. So it's a pretty good collection of friends to get out here. Now Gwen turns up to the party. Okay. Get the full-on Shadow Isles champion suite. Say I'm ready for it. I'm ready for battle. Such premium out here. So the question would be, do we want to actually play something like Loyal Badger Bear before Gwen? Gwen isn't like super strong at this point, and so I think I'm going to go with the Redeemed Prodigy. This is going to give us a little bit of opportunity to clear out some of the opposing bad units, and then also potentially level up our Callista. And so I think we should be pretty close to being in a spot to where we're going to get a good Vile Feast or a good fish fight or something, and Callista is getting quite ready to pop. This is our first Hallowed death as well. And the Moon Boy. So I think that's fine for the moment. We'll just go ahead and pass. We could try and get fairly aggressive onto this Aphelios with a fish fight and the like, but that strikes me as just being a little bit too aggressive. But you're welcome to play Calibrum on Redeemed Prodigy if you want. I give you that if you want to kill off our Prodigy. I mean, it strikes me as being pretty worthwhile here to actually just put the Darkened Fan onto the Prodigy and then fish fight, not do the. Oh, he does just kill off the unit. Wow, I was not expecting that. It's gonna flip our Callista. Oh, I guess we didn't have to go through the work in that point. I guess we didn't. So let's bring it back over here. We'll put the equipment onto Gwen. Gwen can now fish fight away the Aphelios. I don't want dumb Moon Boy out here creating the spells over and over again. Also helps level up our Gwen, get that 4 damage in on the strike. I dig it. Here comes the remainder of the party. Harpy comes in. We only have Hallowed 1 for this attack, but it's going to be generating that additional unit off to the side. Lots of really nice stuff happening here. So that's a fish fight that he's hitting with the Spell Thief. A stun onto Gwen. Interesting. Well, so it doesn't look like Gwen is going to survive the day, but I'm really surprised the stun didn't land on the Harpy. That's very, very bamboozling to me. Like, is he really going to spend his time dropping a Paddle Star onto Gwen? Puts it on the Harpy. The Harpy doesn't die, just loses the equipment. Okay. GG. Well done. See, that's such a nice collection of units to take against Seraphine. It just everything is so big, their removal is not good against it. The stuff has fearsome, and so if we're loading up an Elise with something like a Darkened Fan or a Freylord equipment or whatever, she's able to attack pretty unimpaired. That's just everything that we like to see against the Seraphine deck all kind of came together in one game for us. And so probably never happen again. But the idea of our strategy was there. Okay, up against Aatrox Demacia again. This is why I was looking to play Silence and Suppress. It's a card that should be quite good. In these kind of matchups. Blowing up the equipment is such a good deal, but also getting the The silence in the mix is nice as well. He doesn't attack. Wasn't going to block if he did. I want to get the Darkened Spear going on this attack. You'll find the time, Petricite Broadwing. You're just a little bit too slow at the moment. All right. Shitty unit bouncing off a shitty unit. What an exciting set of battles. Protege comes in. I'll drop our own. We have the 4 mana next turn for our Broadwing Phantom Butler, so I'm pretty okay with that. And I mean, if this is the way it's going to go, we might want to find ourselves just replaying the Darkened Spear. It doesn't have the attack boost to make the Protege any stronger. So getting this 4/4 Phantom Butler that's going to continue to stat up our team is kind of nice. He's fairly limited in what he's able to add to the board here. So do we still want to go for the mana out of the Darkened Spear just to put those stats on top of our deck? We don't really have anything else to do with our hand. I think I'm okay with this. And if he wants to trade, it's not that bad. He does not. Okay. Probably, you're in his sights, Lauren Protege. Oh, look at that Kindred. So big. I worry that, like, I want to play Kindred next turn, but it's a little rough. Like, the Harpy is definitely where we fuck. And say the Harpy is definitely where we belong next turn, but this is going to be painful. I don't think you can play around play around the Darken Harp. Ugh, brutal. That's why I don't know. I guess we could have waited till after combat before we tried to drop Kindred onto the board, but that's rough. Nice top deck with the equipment, though. Let us battle with our Harpy. See if he's got that Cataclysm or the fish fight to really ruin our day. Yep. I'm going to hold back on the Harpy. We'll look to use it next turn in the face of this Fiora. We still have the Cataclysm potentially into Fiora. We might be able to get something interesting happening next turn. Oof. Tough. He's just going to open with her, right? Ooh, that Kindred turn, man. That's tough. Now our friend Aatrox is here. See how this can get ruined. Oh, come on. Just visit www.haveitall.com. Brutal. It's like playing against the constructed version of PNZ Fiora. Just having all the removal at the right time. It's tough. All right, though. On to the next battle. Again, like, it's tough. A lot of that came down to that Kindred turn. I think, like, for the most part in this format, I just assume no one plays removal or plays combat tricks. Like, you'll play Catch. Catch is the only one that really sees play. Or on the flip side, you might see Quicksand. It's not so much things like Sharp Sight making their way into battle. And I don't know. I think we probably still should have just waited and played the Kindred after combat. Just accept that we're going to lose what we have on board there. And then if we have Kindred for the following turn, we can start to pull off something special. Now, in that game itself, we would have probably just gotten smoked. That was a bit of a painful space for our our kindred to be living in, but it had some potentials. But here, I'm going to look to get the foyer down and then follow up with some of our stronger units. It's not doesn't feel to me like a board we need to really rush ourselves into. We want to hate spike out of here now while we still have the ghastly band. I think it's probably pretty reasonable, especially considering that we're going to be boosting Callista next turn. Did you get a good one? Tough. It's not bad. I grant you a that's not bad. Could have looked to put the tough onto the Broadwing. That would have been a fairly reasonable target, but the Callista just feels so strong here. One hallowed? Two hallowed. Okay.
Not a chance. Son of a...
Alright, friends. Many friends of strength on the board. Not looking bad. It is looking bad for our Callista, though. Are we going to have to run into the Darken Harp again? Is that what this is? This is brutal. So many strong Fioras. Alright. Nothing we can do there. You fought hard. You fought hard. Hey, there's our friend Kindred. Maybe something will happen with this now. No real reason to add the Egghead Researcher in here. Let's just get our Kindred on board. See if it can't face into a fish fight or something. that's the way our day's going with this. Yep. Alright, but we do get the Fiora off of the board.
Everything I've worked for.
With a little time, I'll have
Got a good one? Screeching Dragon's not bad.
I'll follow where I can.
Let's do this. Let's hook in the 2-3. I'd like to keep our Broadwing around, assuming he doesn't have another combat trick here. Okay. We're starting to overwhelm the board a little bit, and we might get some use out of this Vile Feast. He's got that 1 health unit just ready to get smacked. As soon as he sees an equipment, the Vile Feast won't work anymore. But you know, we got a chance. We got a shot. Now, do we have to worry about any more tricks? Like, if he just has a removal spell and we lose our Gwen, how bad is it? It's not terrible. I wonder if we would like rather have just lost the Gwen instead of the Screeching Dragon. But we can hallowed up the Screeching Dragon next turn and try and take down Aatrox. Ooh. We're the ones with the harps now. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot, they say.
Took it fair and square.
This is pretty close to lethal. We got the 2 challengers on board, so if he doesn't add another unit, and then we just get it. Another unit has been added. Sad day. Alright, well, here comes the squad. Oof. Nice little board clear. Reasonable stuff on our end. Not a bad place to be. Not that bad. About to get world ended. He's 1 mana short of a world ender. Was he not?
Runeterra must
Could have been worse, though. I mean, I, I think we're just going to be open attacking next turn, right? We should have multiple. Well, he is going to gain a couple health off of Aatrox, which is kind of painful. But I was looking to play the Zolani here, attack with Zolani to the left. That gets in. That would be a 7 and 5. That's like a 12 attacker, which should be enough to take down Aatrox, and then we have enough stuff coming from the remainder of the team. But maybe the open is just good enough. He should have to block the Harpy with Aatrox. Right, it's just the way I'm kind of seeing it with our open is he has to block one unit, which if we put the Harpy to the left has to be Aatrox, and then he has to have a removal spell for Zolani and a removal spell for both the two small units. And so I guess you can just pick up some strikes out of your Aatrox, though. Let's just send in the Harpy and see how it starts. Had to put something on the board. Something's about to go poorly for our little bird friend out here. Okay.
Talk is worthless. We are what we do. I don't need rules to know good from bad.
All right. Another pretty exciting collection of dudes. I was curious if we should have... if we should have just overwritten the foyer, but I think this is okay.
I am ascended.
I shall need my tools.
So coming in like this, 14 on the Zolani is going to have to get blocked by a Naka. That comes in for 6. And then with 2 more units, we should be okay. He's only got 1 mana at this point, so we don't really have to worry about removal spells. Let's see, this is where I was thinking of putting the foyer in, or removing the foyer, so we would just get that extra little attacker in. But all right, looks like that was enough. GG, well played. Mark it a W for bust.
I will not squander the
Uh-oh.
great gift I've been
Come out and watch that Gwen level up while we're at it. Hey, GG.
Every moment of this has been a joy.
All right, your next battle. Somebody turning right up. What do we got here? The Seraphine decks. Nice change of pace. So let's see. I'm not really excited to just hang on to Gwen. Like, if we had some other exciting units, then we could consider hanging on to Gwen. But we need some other cheap dude and ideally an equipment to go along with it. So we'll go ahead and send her back. The foyer isn't the greatest, but it does give us some dudes. Oh, Aatrox turning up. He says, "Don't worry about it, fam. You don't need to be you don't need to draw me off of the abilities. I just show up." Yeah, not a great start. Opponent's even getting these freebie hits off of the mountain goat.
There's nothing.
All right, but I'm going to drop in Elise. We'll look to load her up with the Darken Harp. Should give us some pretty reasonable attacks. If opponent wants to come out and start just value blocking our little spiders, I don't know, good job. I'm not super worried about opponent adding a bunch of gems into their hand. And then we can look to add the foyer in next turn. Start to ramp up those ghastly bands.
From the darkness.
Okay.
So young.
It's like if we were playing against the kind of classic Targon Aphelios decks with all the discard and the boom baboons and stuff in it, that would be a little bit annoying here, but I don't think we're too worried about this mountain goat. Take it. He's bringing it. This is arguably 2023's most successful mountain goat. So he's got that going for him. Oh, look at that. He's even activating the sump fumes. Oh man, what a mountain goat. He's done it all today. We should have gave him a little bit more respect. Just a little bit more. Talking trash on the mountain goats, and he's out here putting in the work. God, this has been a brutal game. Just nothing happening. So let's send in the team. Maybe we'll get a concerted strike this turn, but that's pretty scary, right? This is not an exciting board to be trying to drop concerted strikes with, as he has just a singular 1 health unit that dies to quite a bit. But maybe we'll get a good target.
Get to work.
Dropping gems, sure thing. See if he gems down to 1 mana. Or gems down to 3 mana. Nope. Says, what does it take to win with this mountain goat? All right, but let's get our Aatrox on board. I still don't really plan on getting too involved with this mountain goat. I mean, are we to the point yet to where we have to? I don't think so. It is kind of nice to just finally be clearing the unit off of the board, as we're going to look to Blood-Cursed Harpy next turn. I'm going to put the Darkened Harp onto the Harpy to get that extra little bit of value. Maybe this is finally the time. I don't feel super safe with just Elise hanging out with 1 health anyways. So we have a couple of options with the round. We're about to just start dropping Darken, right? As this game has progressed, I have to say, okay, well, we have 8 mana. We're going to just start playing dudes. And there is a bit of desire to hang on to this Ibaros. Like, I think we might need the Ballista. We might not. It's the one to where if opponent tries to just say drop an Aphelios next turn, we can fairly easily take it down or take down one of his big ones. But it's not one that really does a good job of just outright winning the game. But I think we're completely safe to just drop Darkened Fan. This is one that if it gets destroyed, I'm not super upset. Okay. Gonna throw all Reggie out in front of the band? Nope. Another day. And do we want to single combat this round? All these units suck. Like, I'm not really worried about Zoe. She's not anywhere close to flipping. I think it's safe to just continue on.
I help when I can. Shut up when I can.
He is getting these fairly aggressive boards put together. It's a little scary if he just starts to come in. Like, we do have to give it a little bit of respect in the sense that, you know, if he's got like a Mystic Shot and one other dumb burn spell, he can get really close to just killing us, even though, you know, all these units suck. And so we'll see. Like, if he gives us an opportunity here, I think we might want to just try and Vile Feast down this Forge Chief or Vile Feast down this Reggie to stop them from getting into combat. So do we need to do any more than this? The downside to not doing to you know, going for more stuff is we lose out on our ability to drop a Darken this turn. This will just take us down to 4. Karma's about to flip though. Seraphine's about to flip. That is a little scary. I'm gonna risk it. We need something to go right here. We can at least add the Divine Judgment. Oh my god. Well, I guess we found ourselves in that spot to where we gotta play some more spells. Jesus. So another way for us to fall down to 4. Divine Judgment. Wow. Okay. Nice work, Reggie. And then it's a bit of a bummer losing out on that Darkened Fan. It was a way for us to get just a little bit extra health if we attack with the that token that's been taken away from us. Okay, let's see if we just win the game though. All right, nothing wrong with just winning the game. Reasonable chance he can just stun or have something happen to Abaros, but with the Mega Fearsome, he needs a big dude here to try and get in front of it. It's a little dangerous in this space. I assume that if he's playing a star chart, he probably doesn't have Hush, but Hush does give him a... Oh, fucking A. Okay. Well, this is how things are happening, I guess. Want to hang on to all of our friends in hand. Yeah, Zoe is at 8. There's the Karma I was worried about just killing us. I feel like this one's done. This is tough. Like I feel like if we get to play a best of 100 against this, then this feels like a match we're going to win like 60% of the time. But having these draws to where our first play of the game is like opulent foyer into like it just the draw here was just exceptionally weak. All right, GG. It's a bummer. Again, like I think this is a space to where I feel pretty decent about just immediately requeuing, and if we play against that, that'll be pretty awesome. I just don't think that's a bad matchup. I think we just got the bad end of it. There is a bit of variance involved when you're playing Singleton, and so you just got to deal with it. All right, back to Vayne Shurima. Short thing. Let's get rid of everything. Like, if we had more interactivity in our hand, like if we had a good dude and equipment, I would start thinking about keeping Vile Feast, but it doesn't kill enough in this matchup on its own to warrant it being a card that starts in your hand. Just like taking down Treasure Seeker is pretty low powered.
Scores to settle, cooks to kill. You know how it is. Villains beware.
Alright, action. We see ya. So what are we gonna do here? I'm leaning towards just dropping in the Darkened Bloodletters so we can bank up a little bit of mana. We could look to be Cataclysming the Egghead Researcher into action, but I think I want to just try and get Kindred on board. We'll see how much mana he spends here and how crazy he gets, but we have the Kindred into Darkened Halberd, or we have Kindred into Cataclysm. Like, we have a lot of really good options that we can pull off here. I think it's okay to just drop. Like, this is kind of similar to those previous games, to where, if he's got a big spell or something, he can really cause us some problems. But I don't think that's exactly where we're going to be here. So let's kill an ally, equip Kindred. Just get the stats onto Kindred so she's hopefully safe. We're going in big. What is this, like 10 damage? Sure. So do we ever need to give Kindred a little bit of bonus health? I think that's probably safe. Like, it's even, like, it's not even terrible replacing replacing the Darkened Halberd, since we do have the Darkened Thrall on board to potentially just come in and kill with it. And so I think I'm reasonably happy with that outcome. I want to switch into the Darkened Fan now. Give us just a little bit more health to work with. I don't think so. Let's see how this turn gets us. Yeah, we have some time to at least get a dude on board, and if Kindred does fall, I think we're still reasonably safe and okay here. So let's attack now while we can. We have the Hate Spike in hand, so if we need to Hate Spike one of these dum-dums down, we got it. Any stats on all action here? Alright, so that'll give us our Kindred flip on the next turn. Don't think we need to drop the Halberd just yet. Our Kindred should be big enough. I think we're good to go here. Oh, our Kindred is not big enough. I thought she was going to have many more stats. That's okay, though. We can just drop Aatrox and then the Rekindler next turn. Not a board really worthy of a Vengeance. Was he going to call it back?
Honor is the rust on a dull blade.
So I would assume at this point he's going to Lodestone. And then after Lodestone, we'll get the card draw or whatever off of the Warlord's Palace. Let's get a little bit of this party started. This will grow Kindred up to 6. Right, we'll get the Slay for the round onto the Merciless Hunter. And then if he wants to load the equipment onto Sivir, we'll have time to respond with the Darkened Halberd again. Right, so he's got the 6 attack. Now we can put the Halberd on, kill the little dude, give Kindred the stats. Say, womp womp. Womp womp, you too small, Sivir. I think that's exactly what was said. Exactly it. Gotta watch yourself a little bit here. He did have that potential to +1 attack his team. So we could have fallen a little bit short, but Kindred says, I ain't scared. He's got to attack now. Sivir's just going to die anyways. And I think we want to bank the mana. I'm looking to get this Stalking Broodmother on the board. This is gonna be our big path to victory here. We did just pick up that fairly giant Broadwing, but I think the Broodmother is what's really gonna force him into a dark space. Unfortunately, one short of lethal with this. He can block the Broodmother with the Fleet Feather Tracker and kind of ignore the Kindred ability, but so close to lethal if he takes that path. And these are the kind of games I was really considering playing Ruination. That I am not the person that ever wants to be in a place to where I'm playing the Ruination, but it's pretty easy to find yourselves in these spots with this style of deck to where you need to recover, and just adding units and stats to the board is not going to recover your dudes in this space. So. All right, well, we at least got the big boy off the board. Kindred continues to grow. Didn't get the lethal, but I think we're just continuing to look better and better. It just is such a shitty space for the opponent to be in, where it's like if you add 2 units, you're putting yourself at risk of getting popped by the kindred ability. So, like if he adds another unit here, we fish fight the vein, just kill whatever the other thing is. It's such a terrible spot to have to try and recover from. All right, so pretty juicy board. Hallowed 0. I had to stop and see if we got a hallowed this game. I was trying to do a little bit of that classic bust mathematics, figuring if we can get a lethal with these 2 units, and Aatrox is getting 0. Sad day for him. The swinging glaive. Is that enough to care about? It probably is. So where are we at? Fish fight. I think we want to fish fight off of Aatrox. We can still replay the equipment after the fact. And if he's got a single combat, well, I guess if he's got a single combat, it doesn't entirely matter. Our unit's still just going to come down and die, but Aatrox is a survivor here. That would have been a reason to not do it. He still gives up on it, though. All right, GG. Was not expecting the sharp sights to come down. That's one of those cards that... it's one of those cards that it just feels like so low powered. Like I don't even like playing it in constructed, and so... So we move on to the next one. What do we got here? Hey, hey, hey. It's another game of Aatrox. Should have brought those silence and suppresses, huh? We should have brought them. All right, reasonable enough start, though. Boisterous Host and Vayne and Darkened Spear, not a bad curve. Get rid of that Darkened Fan, though. I don't expect it to do too much work today. All right, Team Shadow Isles coming on board. Oh, Petricite Hound. I like what you're about, my dude. That's not a card I expected to be hitting the table today. So I think we're good to load up the equipment and try and get in. If he plays a Petricite Bird, kind of sucks, but I don't think like banking this into a Vayne turn is that impressive. And if he doesn't have the Bird, and it's just such a spectacular turn for us all around. Still going to send it. Weakens up his Bird a bit. This 3 damage attack next turn's not that big of a deal. Should be able to safely get Vayne down at this point, and then continue on with Gwen. And Quietus. It is a very reasonable turn to just pass or Quietus and bank 2 for a fish fight. There shouldn't be too many answers in the opposing decks to a Gwen. So the Spear Gwen a couple turns from now is quite strong. But we do have to kind of keep in mind we have the Vayne Eternal Dancers as well, so we can get some really strong tumbles with the additional units coming out of the Dancers. Lots of nice potentials here. Alright, Vayne it is. We aren't blocking the Fanatic, but the rest of his attack should get shut down. He's out of mana, so he can't do anything to Vayne. So I assume he's just going to attack with the Fanatic at this point. Deal the 3. We'll be fresh next turn with Gwen. We'll keep on tumbling. A boosted Protege. That is also tempting. We have the single Hallowed as well, so it can take down a 4-healther. I like it. Maybe we'll even play a Quietus this turn. Who knows? Bloodletter's in. I don't think we need to care about that unit at this point. I mean, we can drop a Quietus onto the dude. I just don't. I don't think I'm impressed by that. I think we're going to be building up to just like this more powerful snowbally kind of board than opponent's going to be able to deal with. So we can take another 4 from the Fnatic. That's not a big deal. We can try and save the Quietus for the Kane equipment. We'll see. I mean, I guess Kane should be relatively far away. Let's just get this thing out of here. We're destroying equipment. I just have to imagine if this game grinds on, we're going to be okay. And taking some card draw away from him feels like a win. No complaints. No complaints. How bad can it be? We'll let him start. We can take an 8 hit and feel pretty safe. I don't think I immediately want to get Gwen involved in this combat. Is it ever bad? Wow. That was a lot of work to draw an Aatrox. What if we, instead of getting too crazy with this, what if we just Vile Feast? Right, so we're going to Vile Feast off the Shadowblade Fnatic. Don't even want the Fnatic. Let's Vile Feast off the Formidable unit. We can use the token to just block the Shadow Fiend. Then we'll take a 3-bank into next turn. Have a little bit more opportunity for greatness. That's all I'm about, is the opportunity for greatness. So we'll only take 5 on the round. Okay. So I assume he's just going to overbank a ton here. The downside to this next turn is his access to Aatrox, and we don't have a spectacular answer to him. Okay. Let's start with the Sentry. We can still play the Sentry. We can play Gwen and Tumbles and stuff. We have the Fish Fight if that's what we want to do. If he comes in and brings in Aatrox, we can say hook with the Protege and then Fish Fight off the Ceaseless Sentry. We got some options here. I think it's just too slow to only add Eternal Dancers to the board. It's scary for him, though. Like, if you think back to that earlier game to where we were playing against the Aatrox deck that hit us with the Fiora and the Darkened Harp, and we dropped our Kindred a little bit too early, he's in that same kind of space right now to where he has to be, pretty worried if he drops Aatrox and doesn't have any mana to respond with stuff. So I definitely understand why he's giving this a little pause.
This is a chance for me to leave my mark.
But we're gonna take him down off of the board. So let's see. Need to keep the Ceaseless Sentry back. Attack with Gwen. And then we'll Fish Fight the Aatrox off of the Sentry after combat. No. Didn't expect Gwen to get blocked. I guess he gets the unit out of it, but okay. I was wondering if there was going to be a Ranger's Resolve. Doesn't seem to be the case. It's not relevant at this point if there was one. Interesting, and a darkened harp. And so it's like I was trying to think. We're getting to this point again to where we're gonna have 7 mana next turn, 8 mana 2 turns from now, and so we got to kind of start thinking: do I want to drop these equipment, or do I want to save them to play as Darken? And I think I'm on board with just dropping the equipment now. So we can get the Eternal Dancers down. I want to take a 2-bank into next turn. Ideally, what we're going to blow this game out with is we'll play the Darken Harp as Striatu, attack for 2, get the draw 2, and then we'll get to tumble the Striatu to get an additional. So if we get to draw 4, then we should... you should be pretty okay if you're getting a draw 4 off of the Striatu. And so we'll see if that's what pieces itself together next turn.
Ever hear about the bad man who tried to catch the doll?
Is he about to do something lame? We can change our mind if we need to. If he's gonna do something weird, we can always catch a Darkened Spear and still play Striatu. Like the necessity of having like the 2 Darken on board. All right, I'm gonna go for the catch. But the necessity of having the 2 Darken on board really kind of drops as we're looking to just draw a ton of cards off of the harp. And I really like seeing the Concerted Strike come in as we're about to just drop our giant dude. There's an argument to just protect that Eternal Dancers a little better, but not what we're doing. All right, pretty powerful stuff we got out here. Gonna drop a Balcax. Get your Balcax out here. He's reasonably strong. I mean, he's bigger than Striatu. We can just put Striatu as our attack to the left, but he's a meaty attacker. I think he is. Excuse me. I think he still is in that space, though, as to where, like, on the Aatrox turn, to where you have to play Aatrox and then just hope your opponent isn't gonna have their way with you. That's what it kind of feels like here, as he wants to drop the Darken onto the board. So I think we're still wanting to attack with everybody. Who does this guy bring in? That's a Vayne, and Vayne shrinks our tumble. Then we get to attack again with Striatu. Okay. So we get the 2 cards off of the attack. Vayne comes in, shrinks our tumble by 1, and then we can tumble the Striatu again. So we'll leave Gwen at home. Okay. Planned it that way. Darken Aegeus. That's all the Darkens turning up. Not bad timing. Not bad timing.
Be denied. Fools.
We could technically just go infinite on them, right? If you get these, if you had the 0 mana tumble onto Eternal Dancers and just swing that over and over and over again, would have been cool. I would have been on board. It's not what happened, but I would have been on board. Do we want to load any of these equipment? It's like the Yanaka's the good unit, right? He's the one that summons the other units out of the top of your deck. Our Striatu's not at risk of dying here. So maybe we just send it in with no equips. I guess the thing to consider, though, is next turn, and he's attacking us with Balakux. If we put the Darken Aegeus onto Striatu, then it can block. So I think that's where we're going to go. Send him in, load the Aegeus. Draw a couple more cards while we're at it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Keeper of the box and a bird. Hells yeah. We'll drop it all. I don't like. I think there's a world to where you're supposed to worry about utter devastation, right? The cultist expensive kill everything but darken and champions card, but I think we're more than okay here. Ooh, rekindler. Rekindler bringing back Vayne, give us more tumbles. Not a bad world to live in, my friends.
Analyze, even darken.
One candle.
Not a bad world to live in. That's gotta just do it, right? Not wanting to call my shot or anything, but
The child is
that's gotta be so close. So I'll make Vayne a 4/4. That's probably his ideal hook with Kayn. Now Kayn is in a spot to where he can. The only kill he has is on Keeper of the Box, and that just lets us gain even more health. I think I'm on board there.
yes.
He is bringing in the guy. Doesn't have any mana though. Like it's just a free block with Striatu. Okay. So we're just gonna. Are we just gonna open next turn? Sure. Like we can hook Kayn with the Broadwing. And I don't think we get very much out of not opening. So let's load in the spear. And a Tellstones. Okay.
Purified bolts.
I shall need my tools.
So we don't even need to hook in Kayn, right? We can hook in Dum Dum down here, and then that'll protect the rest of our the rest of our good units. Okay. I don't know, fam. There might be a better way to come about this, but I think this is good. Even pick up the Blinding Assault. If you're not familiar with these combos, it's so we've made an attack, but we haven't made a scout attack yet. So if we do Blinding Assault and tumble it, that will count as a scout attack. Then we'll get the attack token back. Then we can attack with everybody again. It's not a bad day. Not a bad day. So we'll see. We'll see if that rears its head in this space. He says no, thank you. It's been too much. All right, not bad. Get that Star Guardian Gwen out here again. Call it a day. GG.
A sentinel's work is never done.
All right. The Sentinel's work. It's never done. So let's see what we can do. This would be the big win and end space, right? This is what our trying to hit our 8th win before our 3rd loss. If you hit that 8th win, that would get us the full amount of trophies. And then if we're looking to day 2 a Runeterra Open, we would have probably missed it. They put out a new competitive article, and it sounds like a 9-2 may not be good enough. It sounds like 9-0s and 9-1s will probably be the ones making the second day. And then a 9-2 probably wouldn't do it. But, excuse me, curious to see how that plays out. So here with this hand, I'm definitely keeping the 3 cards on the left. The Spear, the Foyer, the Elise. The question is, do I want to hang on to Vayne? She's a little bit slow here. But I don't think she's slow enough to want to get rid of. It's just like, I see this and it's like, okay, he's playing Gangplank Sejuani. He's playing the... Like, I'm thinking in my head of it being like Gangplank Sejuani, but they don't have that same amount of pop that you would typically see out of the constructed decks. So I think it's better to think of this as kind of like a mid-rangey Overwhelms style deck, as opposed to a very champion-focused Gangplank Sejuani deck. Aatrox. But it is nice to be able to kind of shut down some of those early game ticks. Like if we can keep him from flipping Sejuani, that's pretty good for us.
You won't feel it at first.
Okay. Getting them plunders. Alright, so here I'm leaning towards the Darkened Spear. I'd like to be able to attack this turn and not just trade out the Elise. So she should be able to swing in for some relevant damage. Vandal Commando is kind of awkward and annoying since, since it can block our little Spiderling, but I think this is okay. And it's at least all tying together into a turn to where, you know, if we're going to take the hit anyways, right from the rando elusives, then the Scrappy Bomb hit is kind of in the same boat as to where it's on an awkward turn in terms of leveling up his champions.
Open wide, sugar.
All right, but not bad, not bad. Oye comes in. The next turn we can look to drop Vayne with the Darkened Harp. Many strengths. Aatrox will be ready after that. Flipped Gnar coming in though.
Those who kill innocent.
And a hate spike. Okay, it's not bad. He doesn't have any real hate spikeable units on the board at the moment, but it can offer up our Vayne a little bit of protection in this upcoming attack. I mean, I guess the question is, do we want to attack with Elise here, right? It's pretty obvious that she's just going to die running in front of Gnar, but if we get to throw away either the Ghastly Band or the Spiderling into Gnar to get the takedown, just get that big overwhelm unit off of the board, I think that's going to be good. These blocks all suck otherwise, right? So it's kind of nice having the hate spike we can throw at this stuff. Let's see how much mana he spends. We gotta, you know, I assume that this is a deck that probably plays Troll Chant. I guess we're about to see if he's going to drop a Spirits Unleashed on us. I think if he had Spirits Unleashed, he would have played it before the bird, but you know, Troll Chant's a real card. Three Sisters is a real card. It's like I'm trying to think of how greedy we can get in terms of our hallowed attacks.
Never lost a fair game.
And
Big one. Hold it, partner.
it's tough. So Steve comes in. All right, I'm bringing it.
From the darkness.
He's not gonna block Elise with the Gnar, right? That's just too greedy.
Say your farewells.
Makes sense seeing this. Oof.
You're bluffing.
So as it stands, how much do we care about this? Like, I think we just let this go. Like, this doesn't strike me as a Twisted Fate that's going to be flipping. And so I don't want to, like, hate spike down the Twisted Fate. The argument for dropping a hate spike is, like, how good is it going to be with Aatrox? And, you know, it's got some potential there. But I think this is better to just save. And a Vile Feast. Okay.
You won't feel it at first.
Here comes the big attack. So this will drop us to 7 if nothing changes. I think that's okay. We can look to drop Aatrox. We could actually have our way to interact with Gnar be the hate spike on next turn, right? He's gonna unmega and then give us a chance to hit him with the spike. So this bit of scariness coming in, though. Got something just hanging out in the middle. Is this going to be a scrap shot onto Aatrox? That'd be a bit of a bummer. Make it rain. Okay. RIP Vayne. Oh, not a Naka. Get that out of here. Vile Feast. There we go. I think we're still relatively healthy here, right? We're about to gain a little bit more health with Aatrox next turn. It's a we just need to bridge the gap just a little bit until we can start getting the Darken on board. I think Aatrox is ready. Ooh, an Eternal Dancers. There's just so many stats. it's got +2/+2 off that Elise. It's just the downside of the Eternal Dancers is I don't really want to see him flipping this Gnar, and that's something that we have to worry about. You don't. But I mean, we don't have a ton else that we could realistically do. Who are these gonna bring back? Well, I think it's gonna be okay here. He's gotta start putting some blocks forward. If the Gnar flips, you add Gnar. Gives the strongest enemy vulnerable, which should be Aatrox. That's fine. The only thing I was worried about was the Gnar flipping and putting vulnerable on like a Spiderling, and then the opponent open attacks and gets to hook the Spiderling in front of his big overwhelm. But that's not a possibility here, so I feel a little bit better. How do we feel about just passing this turn? I think I feel pretty good about that. If he just sends it back to us, I think we'll just let this turn go. His board is pretty weak at this point. Sejuani comes in. Alright, so what's this do? Vayne? Always happy with more Vaynes. What's this one do? It's a Vayne again, but our units only have 5 attack. Alright, that looks good to me. The 8/8 unit, the Vayne coming in with the tumble. We could have actually attacked with Aatrox here, but that feels a little greedy. I don't think we need the health that bad. What's he at? Sejuani is at 3 of 5. The thing I don't like about this, and what I think we've messed up, I was curious if we should even bother attacking with the Ghastly Band, and I just start thinking, like, well, it's going to die anyways, there's no reason not to. The reason not to is this Pokey Stick. Now he gets to Pokey Stick our face. That's going to get him up to 4 ticks for Sejuani, and it's going to flip the Gnar for next turn. And so this was, he's putting it on the unit? Ooh, I don't know about that, friend. I don't know about that. I'll accept it. I was really worried about this Gnar flipping, though, and having all that. Because, right, he's in this space to where if he attacks with his elusive into elusive, that should be enough to frostbite our team. And then our blocks on the rest of his dudes all suck. And so I think we got away with one there. God, our hand sucks so much. Alright, well, here's the ones we win. Can put the dancers here. I'm a little worried that we're just going to have to hate Spike out of this combat, but let's see where this gets us. Oh, the combat just ends? Okay, okay. So what could go wrong on this turn now? Like, he has like a little bit of potential to be sending burn to our face, but I don't think that that's going to happen. Do we just start dropping Darken? Right? I guess a thing to worry about would be his ability to rally. So what I'm kind of thinking here is As we go to next turn, I'm going to want to play the Darkened Fan. I want to get this triple summon. And so I'm thinking if we bring out the Aegis, well, if we bring out any unit, we're going to run out of space for one of them. So let's just pass and see what he does. Otherwise, I'm kind of thinking it's like, well, we can hate spike something. It feels like we might need to be hate spiking a thing or something here. It looks like, I guess he has the Pokey Stick lined up for Aatrox, which is fine. But I'll just feel a lot better if we can get into this next turn. Right, because I think as long as we get time, we're going to be okay here. I wonder if the answer, though, is tumbling the Darkened Fan onto the Eternal Dancers, just to get to gain a little bit of health. We get the. Is this still gonna bring back a second vein? I wish we could see this off the Oracle's Eye. But if we get, like, I assume that this unit's gonna come in. He's gonna block with the Raider. It's gonna die. Then we get to replay the Fan next turn, anyways. Like, I think this is okay. Wish I knew what unit was coming back out of this. many dangers about to come forth, but I think this is good, especially if the Vayne comes in and gives us a fresh tumble. Pokey Stick onto Aatrox, you got it. You can do it. I don't think. Like, if we're going to hate spike a unit, it needs to be this Ruthless Raider. I think that's okay. Our Eternal Dancer still survives if the Ruthless Raider's gone. Tough. Okay. I guess having Aatrox die to the hate spike makes him the big boy. Gotcha. Man, what a big friend coming through. I guess it is worth remembering we're at 4 Hallowed. And so if we do a little bit of damage, that dude, Pra, would be a potential way to close this game down. I think we're okay here, though, as we're starting to gain a bit of health and he's not really doing anything. Especially on this next turn if we're going to get another Aatrox. And so we know that piece of the puzzle's gone now, right? We're not going to be able to get the Pra on board next turn. But, I mean, I think it's probably just okay. Let's add in Giral. He's going to get a fresh Tough, and then we can drop the Darkened Harp, I believe. We're going to lose out on our Eternal Dancers this way, but we're just getting so far ahead now. I think it's fine since we faded all of that that turn. That was like the critical turn for opponent, I think. And then if we really wanted to, we could Darken Blade the Eternal Dancers to have it survive around for a little bit, but I think... Are we okay? We don't even really need it, right? I don't think we even need it. We can turn it into Aatrox next turn or something. It is a little tempting to get that attack in with Aatrox coming back. It's like we just get to gain so much health this way. I think that's fine. Let's send it in. Ooh, I feel so much better with Vengeance turning up. Okay, fam. I think we're fine now. Gaining a ton more health. We've got the Striatu down. Giral's picking off the units that matter. Drawing stuff. I think this is good. This is good. Still got that lethal on board. Oof, fam. Drop him down to 2. It's only got 1 unit behind. Sejuani, not even in the flip zone anymore. I think we got away with one on this one. I think that that pokey stick turn to where he shot down the unit instead of sending it to face was the turning point for us. But hey, man, there's so much going on in these games. There's just impossible to think about everything. So, no surprise if something gets missed along the way. Cool.
We honor the wolf. Death with eyes knowing.
And Eclipse Dragon. You say you needed some value, my friend. I got some value for you today. Summon into Eclipse Dragon. Dragon make more dragons and celestials and stuff. It's not bad. That's not bad. But definitely feel good with the Vengeance in hand. He's in a spot where he probably needs to open attack into us, but his open attack isn't very good. And so, like, I think as long as we're just backing up into this Vengeance, we're gonna be completely fine.
Got us covered.
Takes us to 9. Sure. This is one of those spots to where it's like, hey, you gotta figure out how you can actually even lose this game. And I think if we drop below 4 mana, or if we stay at 4 mana or above, we should be okay. So it looks like we have 11, so we should be able to spend 7 on the turn. I'm gonna Darken Blade our Researcher. I'm gonna World Ender to pick up Aatrox, and then I think, oh shit. Okay, that's a way you can win the game for certain. For certain. Riptide Rex. Wow. Okay, we're only taking 1 off of that, so don't fear. But man, we can't drop our Darkened Blade now. That's a bit of a bummer. If we want to World Ender and get the Darkens down on the cheap, that's off the table. Alright, I think we're okay though. Try this again. Put the Darkened Blade on the band, drop the World Ender. I think the one we'd want to actually get on board is just the fan. Maybe we should have just opened with the fan. We were getting a little too clever, but at the end of the day, it was enough. So cool. We unlocked the 100 trophies. We've got ourselves the maximum prize, and I think this is the space we were in the last open tournament, where we were 8-2 going into that final battle. We got everything all locked down, but it's just a matter of whether or not we can get that internet clout with the the victory number 9. So let's see if we can't do it. All right, and then it looks like we're up against dragons. I dig it. I like what it, but I see Demacia, Targon, Shadow Isles with Shyvana. That was like that would have been a very classic expedition type thing, as to where Shyvana paired off with Viego, or you could look to have Shyvana paired off with Targon. There was a Viego pool and an Aurelian Soul pool. Gotta take me back to the times of the good old days. Got to play the draft formats. Ooh, I miss it, man. Can't wait. Can't wait till they hopefully add back in the draft format 5, 10, 20 years from now. I can't wait.
May I see your invite?
I do miss me a booster draft. You gotta believe it with that team they got at Riot right now, though, that they're missing it too. You say, "Oh, Ruben Zoo, what do you want to do this weekend? Do you want to get into some booster drafts?" I'm sure he says, "Yeah." He says, "Give me a little piece of that. Give me a little taste." Ooh, sharp sight. This is fine. We'll take this. I guess we don't have to take it all. The Spiderling's not really doing a lot in this space. And we'll still look to get the Broadwing down. No telling how this next turn goes. If we get a unit that lets us put Challenger on the Broadwing, that would be cool, but I mean, it's not the highest value unit for us to be going after, and so I'm not going to be upset if it doesn't entirely come together. But let's do this. Let's put the Aegeus onto the Broadwing. If he wants to play something like Shyvana for the turn, then the Broadwing should be big enough. And then we'll put the Spear onto Elise. Surprised to see the Prodigy come in, but this is still okay. It's going to be too small for Elise, right? Elise is going to catch the Hallowed bonus, so he might find himself just trying to block the Spiderling. Our bird's got it now, though. you just need that Elise token to get your bird set up and running. A Tellstone. That's tough. That's tough. We don't have a lot that we can actually do on this board. I think I'm okay to just Tellstone away the dragon and get 2 for 1, and then we can look to add in Aatrox next turn. So let's do this. Let's go for the crumble. I'm going to crumble off Elise into the dragon. I just think our Broadwing has a little bit more opportunity for action here. And then next turn we'll throw down Aatrox. I was really hoping that we could maybe have the Cataclysm next turn, but it's okay. It's not horrible. Only war can bring me peace. Let's get a Aatrox. I wonder if we ever want to just pass here. He's adding stuff to the board now, but I mean, getting that just getting him to pass with like 9 mana up, that would have been pretty huge. So with this, I hooked in the White Flame. I don't think we're always going to get a kill here on the White Flame. Holy shit, that's strong. I wasn't envisioning Concerted Strike. I was like, well, if he comes in with the White Flame, we should at least have a unit that gets to survive, right? If he plays a combat trick on the White Flame, it's probably going to grow to above 4 health, but not have enough to kill our dude. But, ooh, that was painful. That was pretty strong. Looks like it'll be a 12 damage attack. He's not. That's interesting. He's not pushing the White Flame forward. This is one of these spots to where you should probably sit around and think on it a little bit. I'm not pushing our unit in, but it would have had a chance there. All right, well, let's come around and spend some mana. We're going to grow our Broadwing for next turn. This will heal it up to 3. We can put a spear on it after the fact. Golden Aegeus. But it's on to the Prodigy. I think that's okay. All right, well, let's see if this goes disaster mode, right? We have to have this challenge go right. If this challenge fails, then we're gonna lose the game. He is down to 2 cards, and so I don't feel, completely upset about this. Fuck. Oh, just even with Hate Spike. So if we'd sent in the Researcher, it would have survived that. I was trying to keep our unit back that would have been capable of blocking the Hallowed token. But that's gonna be enough. That's gonna boom us. Oh, we even had Hallowed down here at the end. Yeah. Okay, well. We got manhandled in that one, but still managed to come in, get the maximum reward. It's what we needed, it's what we went for. Get those 100 trophies. And so we can look at this and talk about it a little bit more. Like I've been pretty happy with this deck. With the way that the games went down today, I would have preferred to have Silence and Suppress into the deck. Now, that is kind of one of those spaces as to where, as I played through a lot of the daily gauntlets, we had to just play against Seraphine an actual fuckload of the time. And against Seraphine, I kind of liked the ability that the Tellstones brought in, as to where you have a little bit more flexibility. It's still usable against something like Aatrox, but it's not as dead against that deck, right? It's a way that you can kill a Pursuit of Perfection, but then you can also use it to kill Aatrox, to where it's much more expensive and a lot more has to go right for it to be effective. To where with the Silence and Suppress, if you know you're going to be playing against Aatrox 60% of the time, then you would much rather have it. Just destroying the equipment and getting the silence for 1 mana is such a good deal. And then it's not as good against Pursuit of Perfection, but taking the Overwhelm off of the Pursuit is enough to at least ensure you don't immediately die. And so that was like the one space to where I wasn't entirely certain with the deck, but with the way the games went down today, I would have preferred the Silence and Suppress, but you could very easily tell me in the comments that you played you played 10 games and 7 of them were against a Seraphine, and I would 100% believe you. It's just the way the format is. And so outside of that, very happy with the deck. In terms of the rewards, again, they posted a Friday article on on the upcoming competitive season. I don't know why they didn't do it on a Tuesday, but that is out there for your perusal as well. I think it's a lot of positives in the upcoming future. The thing I'm still a little like, I don't want to say like upset about, is I feel like there's kind of 3 tiers of the competitive ladder, right? I feel like there's that really upper band of the competitive scene, to where you're trying to qualify for Worlds, and then I think that's kind of covered. That's all outlined. That's there if you want to play at the peak of the competitive scene. That is there for you. And then if you're looking to just kind of like dip your toes into the water, if you're looking to have a little fun on your weekend and get a tournament in. And then if you want to, kind of start dabbling into the competitive scene, as you might get at like a Friday Night Magic or a league scene at your local game store or something, I think the reward path is set up very well for that. I think it's just that kind of like middle space that isn't really accounted for at the point. So if you were a magician from the lands of Magic the Gathering, having that space to where you're a PTQ grinder, and then you could maybe find yourself qualifying for a Pro Tour, but maybe not, and then maybe you have the opportunity for a bit of Grand Prix success, but it's not a guarantee that you're going to be hitting that second day with a lot of frequency. I don't feel like that band is particularly covered right now, and I feel like that's where we live, and I feel like that's where a large portion of the kind of competitive scene is. If you're in that space to where you grind your way to Masters and then don't have anything to do, and you want something a little bit more that isn't just grinding up the ladder and sitting the end of the day at not 0 LP. I feel like there's definitely some room to grow there, but that's something for way down the road. I feel like from where the competitive scene was 6 months ago to what has been presented to us now, all positives. And so I don't want to nitpick at that too much. We can wait a year, wait 2 years before we start to really bring that in. But I feel like that's where a lot of the competitive scene lives, and I feel like they're still waiting a little bit on some, what do I get? What do you got for me? Everything's all about me, and so pay attention. But nonetheless, a lot of great things coming forward. I had a lot of fun with this. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So this is Busted Me. Thank you for being here.